I've only got 2% on my thing, so this is a shorty. Might probably be the last one for tonight. Darkness falls. Crack! A flash of lightning out the window and a near-deafening blast of thunder, but hardly anyone notices anymore. It had been raining continuously for hours in the most intense downpour that anyone could remember ever having experienced before. The storm front had overtaken them moments after the tsunami had struck the coast. In minutes, the daylight gave way to black night, punctuated with rapid fire, flashes of lightning, and howling winds. The precipitation was muddy and full of salt, gradually giving way to still salty but clear water. The noise of the downpour and thunder was so great that even with the television turned to its maximum volume, the watchers had to sit close to hear. With the intense rain and winds, the airborne television crews were forced to abandon their coverage and race away in search of safety. The last moments of footage they were able to provide showed the wave collapse into a frothing chaos of foam and debris. It had penetrated just 10 miles into the interior of the Florida peninsula. The majority of the land mass of North Florida would be spared a saltwater bath, but 10 miles was enough to devastate Florida's coastal cities from Jacksonville to Miami. Property loss would be reckoned in the tens of billions of dollars, and the casualty rate would be in the hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of lives. It was the greatest disaster ever to have struck the state. There was no word from north of the state line. Anne leaned over toward John and said, "The news said there would be multiple waves. If the first wave made it 10 miles, how far will the following waves go? We are 60 miles from the Atlantic side. Do you think they will come this far?" John replied, "I don't know. The tsunami study that I read said except for Miami they wouldn't make it very far inland, and with the first wave only making it 10 miles, I'm inclined to think the rest won't make it much further. But I don't know for sure. All we can do is hope and pray." The big pine tree in front of the house is struck with lightning, blasting sparks and bits of bark across the yard. "Of course," John observed, "we'll still have plenty to worry about even if we don't take an ocean dip. I hate to lose any source of news, but I think it would be prudent to unplug the television before the lightning gets it. I'm not sure how long we'll be able to take this sort of pounding. Another day of this and the garden will be finished and the orchard will be damaged. If this goes on for months, we'll lose all agricultural production for this year, and next year's won't be so hot either." John's dad nodded toward the living room bookshelf and asked, "Son, you've read about impacts. How long do you reckon this is going to last?" "Dad, it's hard to say. There is never a lot of this kind of stuff written, and most of what was modeled was for bodies 1 mile or larger in diameter. This asteroid was under a half-mile in size, so it had a great deal less mass than was stipulated in the studies. If NORAD had the velocity right, it wasn't moving as fast as it might have been. I'm hoping there will still have been a great deal less dust and water injected into the upper atmosphere than the models predicted would be with the larger strike. If there was, then the weather effects will suffer as a result of the strike should be correspondingly less. Hell, for all we know, maybe the tsunamis won't have washed away the whole East Coast either. I think we may have a good chance of making it if we don't get hit with a tornado, but it may very likely get hungry before the end." Blam! The blast was so loud that John's ears rang. He just opened his mouth to speak when the house shuddered, and a loud crunching sound was heard. "Oh, damn," he shouted towards the back of the house. "I think that was the oak tree off the back porch, and it's just fallen on the house."